think we're
All right,
live.
Dad, we're live.
All right.
Good morning.
Let me scratch my butt before we start.
Oh,
Go ahead.
you're in your pajamas.
I'm in my
aren't you, today?
pajamas.
Thank
I'm sorry.
goodness.
It's a rough day.
This is a podcast, except for Facebook Live, which we're doing right now. So I wanted to switch things up a little
Okay.
and talk to you about something that I know you love to talk about, which is business.
Okay.
So the angle with this show is I'm going to give you a business you or my mom have owned, and I want you to tell me what you've learned from it. So I've come up with a list, or I've tried to come up with a list of all the businesses that you've had.
Okay.
Woo! Okay, so the first one is the dry cleaner business. So that's the first business, right, that Mom owned, that you guys ran. Your first,
For real business.
Correct.
Correct.
What did you learn?
That your most important thing is getting good help. And that was our biggest problem. We bought a plant, a dry cleaning plant, which means a place with equipment that did the cleaning, from a person that was retiring. And we knew nothing about the business. Probably should have never done it, but we did. But our biggest problem was getting good help. And good help was difficult to find, and we ended up having people that were stealing from us, and we ended up with a couple of stores, and we also did dry cleaning for other people who didn't have equipment, and they would give us bad checks. So it was a exciting 2 or 3 years. Your mom worked her butt off. I was still a policeman at the time we were doing it, and she was doing a lot of the work. I did delivery work before I went in the morning. Before I went to work, I started at 12 noon on my police job, so from 6 to 10 I would do pick up and deliveries for the dry cleaning. And I learned never get into dry cleaning business again. That the stuff you're sniffing will kill you. It is not a good business.
Wow.
Because washing wear, it was killing us. So we sold the business, just to get out of it. And the guy that bought it must have had the greatest luck in the world. 2 months after he bought it, the restaurant next door to us, we were in a shopping plaza, burned down to the ground, burned our dry cleaning plant down, and the guy did great on the insurance. We lost our butt. Had we kept it 2 or 3 more months, we'd have been way ahead. It would have been burned to the ground. We'd have been done.
What was, I was fuzzy. What was the next business after that? Was it being a car salesman?
No. I don't remember what the next business was. What did I do? I did so many. After we did the cleaners, I sold real estate while I was still a policeman. Right.
And what was that like?
Well, that was great because any money I made selling real estate, we put aside, and that was our vacation money. So that's how we got to go to Hawaii and the Caribbean, because anytime I sold real estate, I put money aside.
So nowadays that's called side hustles. People have all these side hustles.
Yeah, everybody had. When you were a policeman, and especially if you were an honest policeman, you needed a side hustle because the pay was so bad. You had to do something. So we lived on our pay and then banked our commission money for vacations.
What about, I'm going to go forward a little bit. What about your deal in
Hawaii? No. With the horse-drawn carriages?
Oh my gosh, yeah, deal in Hawaii, the horse-drawn carriage.
So we used to vacation in Hawaii all the time, and I thought, what a great spot in Maui for horse-drawn carriages. They didn't have any.
Yeah.
So when I retired in 1977, we bought this. There's no internet. There's no nothing. No computer. I don't know. I used to subscribe to the Maui News, which they mailed to us.
Crazy.
And we bought 2 carriages and 2 horses. And had them shipped by barge from the big island of Hawaii to Maui. And I went there and started the horse-drawn carriage business. And that lasted for a couple of months. Couldn't make enough money and left.
I guess, what did you learn from that? You just try?
Yeah, you got to keep trying. You got to keep trying. Yeah. Yeah. We were making money, but not enough. Okay, it was profitable, but enough. Right. It's Hawaii. You got to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, but I learned.
Yeah.
I learned that keep trying. Never stop.
Right.
Don't give up. So I would take the people around on the carriage and give them the tour and stuff of what was going on. And one lady came off of a cruise ship. She said, "You got the funny Hawaiian accent." She said, "What kind of Hawaiian accent?" Because she was from the South, I guess. She said, "What kind of Hawaiian accent is that?" I said, I pointed to the mountains. I said, "We're from up there." So, because I never heard anybody else Hawaii with that kind of accent.
Nice. What about the deal in
Ghana? No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the deal in Ghana. You said that was your favorite. That's your favorite place.
Yeah, that's the only place I ever went to, and on leaving I cried.
Yeah.
Because the people are so fabulous. So I hooked up with 2 guys from the Bronx, 2 young guys from Ghana who had a transshipping warehouse in the Bronx, and they wanted to grow their business.
Right.
And I got put on to them by a fellow who had been working with them. Your mother and I shipped our car to Italy on vacation, shipped it to Europe, and then shipped it back when we were done. And this guy who handled the shipping of the car, I said to him, I'd like to get into this kind of business. Well, I got these 2 African guys that are looking for someone to help them.
Yeah.
So I went up to the Bronx, talked to them, and then they had a contact in Ghana who worked for the government who was looking to import used agricultural equipment. So I flew to Ghana and stayed out there for about 10 days and couldn't make it happen because we had to bribe people, and that was illegal. I wouldn't do it.
Right. I feel you.
Yeah.
But so what did you learn from that one? I mean, it was a short and sweet kind of deal.
That how Trump is so right, how we get screwed by our trade deals. We're not allowed to bribe people or pay a commission to make a sale, but every other country can do it legally, and we can't. So how do you get ahead? 45% of Ghana's foreign aid came from the United States. They took every dollar of that and bought stuff from Europe. They bought nothing from the United States. They took all foreign aid and spent it somewhere else.
I have one.
As I started learning about what's going on in the world, because I had no education.
Right.
So I started, by traveling and going places, I learned what's going on in the world, how trade works.
So let's keep with the kind of world businesses that you've had. What about the deal in Czech Republic?
Oh, that's what was the guy, Martin and his wife?
Yeah.
So your mother and I are in the streets. It was your mom. Okay. Your mom and I are going to a business show in Prague, and your mom hooks up with this lady from the State Department or Department of Commerce who liked your mom. We were talking, yada, yada, yada. You guys should try and do business here. Maybe we can help you.
Yeah. So
the next thing you know, your mother and I are back in Prague, rented an apartment, and hooked up with Martin and his wife who wanted to try and do importing or exporting back and forth. We brought them to America. They turned out to be flaky. We tried to promote a boxer. We brought a heavyweight boxer to the United States, and Floyd Patterson trained him for a month, said this guy is great. He should be boxing professionally, but the guy was an Olympic boxer from the Czech Republic.
That's right.
And refused to turn pro, even though he signed the contract with us, said that he would. And he went back to the Czech Republic to fight in the World Olympics, and he lost his ass. God bless him.
Right, we're going to be a
boxing promoter. I brought the guy over, hooked him up with Floyd Patterson, who I met through another contact of your mother's. Your mother's beautician husband was Mike Tyson's manager.
Yes, that's back in the day. What did you learn from that one? I'm curious. Like, that really didn't pan out, so to speak.
Oh, I love heavyweight boxing. I'm upset that we really don't have any heavyweight. But what do I learn? I just keep learning more and more stuff about dealing overseas. You know, how to deal with people.
Okay.
And the fact that a contract is worthless. We had a contract, a lawyer drawer. If the guy doesn't want to live up to it, what are you going to do?
So contract's worthless.
Right, unless the person that signs it is willing to live up to it.
What about the deal with mom's friend's husband? The deal, it was like in Eastern Europe, right?
That was in Bosnia.
Bosnia, thank you.
You're right. Mom's friend bankrolled that. We went to Bosnia to try and help them secure loans and grants to rebuild the country after the war. This was 1995. And we got all kinds of contracts signed, but the U.S. Department of Commerce stepped in and told the people, don't pay them, pay us. We'll do it for you for free. So we ended up getting screwed by our own government again.
I was going to say.
To the tune of $750,000. That's what we owed in commissions.
So I guess, again, since the subject is like what I've learned, what did you learn with the Bosnia one? How
your own government will screw you.
Yeah.
Again.
Well,
and also how I almost was killed twice.
I was going to say.
Twice the first night there by Serbian militants who were who were still manning outposts because they hadn't been removed yet by the UN or by NATO. So they wanted to kill us because they thought me and my partner were members of the CIA. They pointed the Kalashnikov in our face and threatened us. A young 19-year-old girl probably saved my life. I thought I was dead that night.
Yeah.
Said my prayers. That's when the Department of Commerce contacted us. Rob Brown. and said, would you go back to Bosnia with this group of businessmen? They're in Washington. And because I had come back to the States, and you're the only person that really knows a lot about what's going on, that we'd like you to come and brief these guys and fly with them.
Yeah.
I said, yep, I'm going. And your mom and I got into this huge argument. And she said, no, you're not. I haven't seen you in 3 months. Blah, blah, this is my business. You're not going to go. Blah, blah, blah. So I had to call the Department of Commerce lady back, and she was furious when I told her I wasn't coming. And so the plane flew out on Friday that I should have been on. Everybody was on that plane died.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had forgotten to tell your sister I didn't go. And the Times and a newspaper contacted your sister wanted to talk about her father dying on a plane.
Right. Crazy. So I think that was.
So I'm not that easy to kill.
Right.
You don't kill this old man that quite easily. Okay?
All right. The one that I think you've gotten the most, for lack of better words, notoriety is the sheep business. Like, how did that come about? And what did you learn from that one?
So your mother's always, we had the place upstate that grandma gave us, 130 acres. So I'm retired doing nothing. And your mom would always say, you got to cut the damn lawn, cut the lawn. We had a huge lawn, couple of acre lawn. And I really hated cutting the goddamn lawn, okay? Because I'm basically lazy. So I don't remember, I bought a couple of sheep and I tethered the sheep out there to cut the lawn. And I said, they really work. So all of my neighbors who were farmers thought it was funny, thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
So I think I wrote a letter or called at our local newspaper and told them about it. And they sent somebody out and they wrote an article about how this man was using sheep to cut his grass.
Okay.
And when the article got printed in the newspaper, I said, this could be a business. We could call it Rent a Sheep. People could rent the sheep from us and it would cut their grass instead of doing it. It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
The next thing I know, local TV is out there. The next thing you know, we're getting letters. Remember, this is before the internet.
No, I know. This is all before the internet.
The local newspaper put it on the UPI and AP Wire.
That's right.
They sold the story. We were getting calls from Europe on the phone, letters from Europe asking us to write articles. We ended up being in Us magazine with a spread.
Today Show.
And then the Today Show, the 3 morning shows sent their helicopter up, landed on our property with the reporters to do a story about us. So we ended up renting about 40 sheep, and it was all a joke. But people did it. People rented the sheep and paid us. One lady from way out on Long Island called and she said, I'm a business manager. Well, she wouldn't tell me for who. She says, we want to rent, I think, 3 sheep from you. Do you think they'll be okay in a plane? We're going to send them a private plane to pick the sheep up. The cost of the flight was more than the whole flock of 100 sheep were worth. And she wanted to rent 3. I said, no, I don't think you put them on. Our vet said they could go on a plane. But she said, maybe we'll send a truck up. So they paid like $600 for a trucker to come and pick up 3 sheep that they rented for $50 each. Take them back to Long Island. At the end of the summer, they paid the trucker $600, bring the sheep back. So I said to your mother, you're in the wrong business, lady. You should be in the trucking business. So that was Rent a Sheep.
And how long did you do it for?
Just 2 years.
And
we made some money and we left our ass off. And we increased our flock. We ended with the largest flock of sheep at one point in New York State.
Yeah.
Right. That was trying to give stuff to you and your sister to do. And you were doing 4-H at the time.
Yeah. Like, what did you learn from that one?
That people will rent or buy or do anything if it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
If you've got a gimmick, people will buy into it.
Yeah. And that was before social media.
No internet, no social media, no
nothing.
Website, nada.
Can you imagine if there was that?
Oh, would have been huge.
Huge.
I know. It would have been a TV show. The Rent a Sheep family. Right.
Oh, that's so true. It totally would have been a reality show.
It would have been.
So then I think you started a business out of our basement, as many entrepreneurs do. And that was the Ambulette business. And
Well, that didn't go very far, so we stopped doing that.
what about Zoo Poop?
That was your mother's greatest idea. Okay.
I really think this one could have gone far.
We just didn't have enough money to push it. So your mom, we realized that the fertilizer we were using on our grass wasn't working. So I read an article that said the best organic fertilizer is from bats, and the second best is organic fertilizer from elephants, rhinos, and hippos, because they don't eat meat, and so it's an all So an organic type.
Oh my
It's
God.
right. So it's a herbicide. So anyway, so we decided we're going to go into rent. We were going to sell poop, and we got a website. We paid someone, and it's called Zoo Poop.
Right.
And our friend designed the website,
Right.
and when they were just first coming out, so we had a website. So now we bought 36,000 pounds of elephant poop from a lady who brokered it for the Pittsburgh Zoo.
Right.
We took it; it was all in dry powder form. We packaged it in a garage that we rented, in a storefront that we rented, and we advertised it all in the organic and gardening magazines in the country to try and sell this stuff, and we could not sell enough to make any money. But again, this was the infancy of the on the website, the internet, the website, but it was the infancy. Maybe today would be a lot better doing it because it's the best fertilizer. So at the end, we had a lot of it left, and your sister used it on the lawn. She had the best grass in the town she lived in.
What about the taxi service? You did a taxi service
On Hilton Head, yes. We did a taxi service on Hilton.
Like
we had 4 cabs, and your mother was the person that answered the phones and did all of the dispatching. And my job basically was to buy the cars and find the drivers, and she handled the rest. And that lasted for a couple of years, and we sold that and decided to do nothing for a while. And then we ended up, Mom opened up a property management company and realized that we should have a repair business to go along with it. And we bought an existing repair business. And that's how we got into doing the repairs. Maintenance. Right.
So I guess with those, the businesses in Hilton Head, the taxi, the property management, and then the help maintenance, I mean, what did you learn from those 3?
That you can make money in this world. That's not that difficult. We made money in all those businesses. They all did well without a large investment. We bought the maintenance business with no money. We borrowed it 100%.
Yeah.
Same, the taxi business we started because we had 2 old big cars and nobody wanted an old Cadillac and nobody wanted an old station wagon. So we started it with 2 old vehicles. So you can start business with very little money. It doesn't take a lot of money.
What about the pet spas?
The pet spa started because your mother said that nobody was grooming our dog well. She was so disgusted with how the dog came back every time we wanted to get it groomed. Yeah. She said that she wanted to open up her own pet spa type or her own pet grooming business. So we decided we explored it and she came up with some designs. We had a contract, we found a location, had a contractor build it according to how she wanted a jacuzzi put in and a sauna type dryer.
Right.
And we opened up pet spas and it did well for a couple of years and I sold it.
Do you feel like it would have been better if you had been trained as a groomer?
No, I don't want. I'm not. No.
So it doesn't matter as an entrepreneur if you're not it's a pet grooming. You have no idea how to groom, but it still worked.
Yeah.
It still worked.
Yeah,
you have to trust the people that.
Yeah, we did. She had good people there, so it worked.
What about,
I'm the idea person. Okay,
right,
she tends to make the ideas work.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the income tax business in Hilton Head? How did that come about?
Because when someone screwed me, it's a person. We were going to buy into an existing tax preparation business, and your mom's friend had another friend who was had just moved to the island. Who was, I don't want to get too, she's still out there. Anyway, she was an attorney and also a tax specialist. She was looking to buy a business. So I said to her, why don't you and I buy together, when your mom and her buy this tax preparation business that's for sale. So I called the gentleman up that I already met him once that was looking to sell the business because he was getting divorced. So I brought her to meet him. And while we were sitting down meeting, he looks at her straight in the eye and says, you don't need him. He said, you can buy the business alone without him. And the guy just threw me out of the deal. And so she said to me right there, she said, don't worry about it, I'll pay you the commission for putting it together. I said, okay, guys, we're all friends. I mean, there's no big deal. So she did it and never paid me. So then his ex-wife called on the phone, wanted to know how much the business sold for because he lied to her because he did it all cash. Wow. And she was going to subpoena me to go to court on her side. I said, I don't know what it sold for. I left.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful. People that you think you're your friend will screw you unless you get something in writing. That helps.
Yeah. Interesting.
So we ended up, I got so mad.
Yeah.
I said to your mom, let's open up our own tax prep business, see maybe we can do better than they can.
Yeah.
So we did that as a lark and kept that for a couple of years and then sold it. Again, hired somebody to do it, didn't know anything about it. And it made money from day one.
I was going to say, you pretty much have never known anything about the businesses.
Right, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
No, unless it's really technical.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the home warranty business and the Junkman business? How did you get in the home warranty business?
Well, that was your mom again. That was a pure accident because we had they had contacted us about doing work for them. We always told them no.
Yeah.
And when we sold our contracting business on Hilton Head and moved here, your mom had remembered that, and she said, "Why don't we call them and see maybe they'll use us, in the area where we're living now."
Right.
So we did, and they said yes, and it went from nobody to 60 part-time employees and 4 people in the office.
Crazy. And then the
real estate
market.
So then your mom said, we got to find something else. This thing isn't doing as well as it should.
Yeah.
And she saw somebody demolishing a building there where we were. It's just, maybe we could do that. So we found a guy as a subcontractor to do the work, and then we used online to sell the service.
Yeah.
So we were demolishing buildings.
That's crazy. Is there any businesses that you wish you would have owned? Like, you haven't ever owned like a restaurant?
No, don't ever want to own. My family was in a restaurant business in Vermont. Don't want to be in a restaurant business. It's too much like work.
Is there any ones that you're like, darn it, I wish I would have tried it or done it?
No. Because that's somebody else's deal.
Yeah. I guess for people who are wanting to be an entrepreneur, like, what would be your advice for them? I mean, you've given a lot of little nuggets here and there.
Don't be afraid. Number one, explore it, check it out, and see where you can get your money from to get it started. See where you got to borrow it from. See how much money you need, and go for it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do the work, some of the work yourself if you can. But that's not what you want to do. Someone told me a long time ago, my good friend who I'll be talking to tonight, he said to me, why would you do the work that you would pay somebody, say, $25 an hour for yourself, when you could find more work by being the boss and getting more people doing the work? Even if you paid yourself only $15 or $20 an hour while you were doing it. Yeah. That you really shouldn't do the work yourself unless you absolutely have to. You should try and use your time to build a business. Okay. Right.
Well, I think that's it. My gosh, you've had a lot of businesses.
But there's a lot of good stuff out there.
There is a lot.
Yes.
It's just hustle, right? You got to hustle.
Right. Think about all of the seniors that are out there that need work done on their equipment that they use.
Okay.
Hospital beds, electric wheelchairs.
Giving people some tips.
Lifts in their homes.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to fix all of it. People like selling them, but a lot of people don't like fixing them.
All right.
Great business.
There you go. Thanks, Dad. Listen to Lou. We're done for the day. Bye.